Hello everyone and welcome to our presentation. We are group number 3, composed of Brianda Ramirez Martinez, Daniela Davila Valderrama, and me, Edgar Fabián Hernández Valenzuela. We're going to present the topic of teacher identities from the book Teachers in Action. Let's begin. First, we have to identify the general aims of the book Teachers in Action. It is not meant to form new teachers who lack the general theories of language teaching. It will not provide approaches or methodologies. On the other hand, it will provide with generative tasks for your students as a practicing teacher, an investigative framework as a reference, as a starting point for you as a practicing teacher to go further in your formation and further develop your skills as a teacher. It will also provide with tasks and materials for teachers. These are tasks and materials meant for the use of teachers, not for teaching students, but to practice themselves and find new knowledge. To begin, we're going to focus on the background issues that affect the effectiveness of in-service teacher education. This will be relating to professional knowledge, skills, attitudes. All of these affect how efficiently teachers can educate their learners. We will go more in depth about these issues. One of the aspects that can be potentially a source for issues are teacher identities. This is not meant to indicate that teacher identities are bad, but in certain conditions and contexts, they can certainly be obstacles to an efficient teaching. First of all, teachers are people who have lives outside of teaching. These lives are usually busy and stressful, but teachers also have potentially rewarding working lives. They enjoy their work. Unique individuals with their own personalities, ideas, hopes, and concerns. People who have families, educational histories, professional knowledge, experience, and skills that are all very unique to each of them. More personally, they hold beliefs, attitudes, and feelings toward aspects of their work. And of course, all of these elements can change over time. These are all aspects that can affect the performance of teachers. Of course, if a teacher has a very busy and stressful life outside of teaching, that is going to reflect on their performance. Also, their personalities, ideas, hopes, and concerns, as well as their beliefs and attitudes towards teaching, are going to shape the way in which they teach, the approaches they decide to take, and the methodologies they believe the most in. Another aspect to consider in the identity of teachers is the social one. Teachers, just as any human being, are social beings. They interact with their learners and the curriculum in a three-way process, which is shown in the diagram. Teachers interact with learners, learners interact with teachers. Learners interact with the curriculum through their subjects and the contents, which in turn are presented usually by the teacher, which, as shown in the chart, have to necessarily interact with these contents to be able to teach them to learners. So it is a full cycle, which is bidirectional in all of their elements. The teacher performs in the classroom, a classroom which tends to be complex and constantly changing. A possibility is for it to be full of exuberant children learning and playing, and colleagues busily attending meetings and talking to parents. This is what a usual environment for a teacher would be. Of course, the classroom is not the limit of the social context which the teacher can experience. Of course, there's the classroom, which is inside of a school. The school, which itself is in a local community, which might have their own social issues and characteristics, which is at the same time located in a region or a country with their own costumes, their own traditions, and all that involves these social aspects, which in turn are located on the international community, which is to say the whole world, and most precisely the interaction that happen most closely geographically. So of course, all the participants that are involved in the process tend to exert certain influence on teachers, on their behavior, on their performance, in school and in the classroom. The closer the participants are to the teacher, the greater the influence is going to be. So, for example, what happens on the international community is not going to have so much of an impact in a biology class than, say, a situation that happens between the students in a personal matter, or just the questions or particular characteristics that a classroom has.
Teachers' professional knowledge is a complex and multifaceted concept encompassing various areas crucial for effective teaching. It goes beyond simply knowing the subject matter and includes the ability to translate the knowledge into engaging and effective learning experiences for students. We have three knowledges that I'm going to be talking about. We have the content knowledge, which this one refers to the deep understanding of the subject matter that the teacher teaches. It involves not only the factual knowledge but also the ability to analyze, critique, and synthesize information. So, as we all know, that teachers, what we do is we look for the information and we try to synthesize it as much as we can for our students to understand it and comprehend it. We also have pedagogical knowledge, and this knowledge and skills are related to teaching itself, including effective instructional strategies, classroom management techniques, and assessment methods. So, here, as we say, teachers, we usually try to do our best to know what kind of strategies we're going to implement in our classroom and for us to try to get to the goal that we want our students to be in. And also we have curriculum knowledge. And this knowledge involves the understanding of the curriculum framework, learning objectives and resources available. So here we're going to the teachers usually look for whatever they can in the internet or books or in the student books that they have to get all that information and try to put it in a curriculum and framework that is going to work for them and is going to help the students with the class.
Teachers' professional skills. Building upon the foundation of teachers' professional knowledge, a set of essential skills empowers educators to translate the knowledge into action. These skills contribute significantly to creating engaging and effective learning environments for students. We have four skills that we're going to be talking about. First, we have methodological skills, which some Some things that can be included here are planning and delivering engaging lessons, differentiations like adapting instructions to meet individual strengths, technology integration, assessment and evaluation, and material creation and adaptation. Then we have decision making. Now, what kind of skills can we include in decision making. Well, some of them are identify students' needs and learning styles, choosing appropriate teaching methods and resources, adapting instruction on the fly, like you're going to be able to respond to students, and balancing student needs with curriculum requirements, and was at the end making ethical decisions. Then we have social skills. Here, we could include creating a positive and inclusive classroom environment. We could also include effective communication, empathy and cultural sensitivity, building reports, building reports for students or with students. Also, will teachers and parent talks. Then we have enable skills. In enable skills, we could include critical thinking and reflections, problem solving, lifelong learning, motivation and resilience, and innovation and creativity. These are just some examples of the specific skills required will vary depending on the context, language being taught, and age of the group of students. Also remember, a successful language teacher is someone who can effectively integrate all of these skills to create a supportive and engaging and also effective learning environment for your students.
Now, about teacher attitudes and feelings about their work. Teachers will have goals and purposes in the education area, obviously. They will probably have hopes, desires, and dreams, but they can also have negative feelings, concerns, doubts, and worries in what they are doing in their work at their job. And this could easily happen, but something that we can do as teachers is help each other, teachers helping teachers, so we can have like a better development at making classes. Then we have education, but what about it? Education emphasizes in the development the whole learner. And this actually means that the learner's knowledge, their skills and attitudes, all about that. Also, it is emphasis in applying general and specific educational aims and preparing learners for lifelong learning. Okay, then we have change in teacher learning. Some of the characteristics of change are that it is usually slow, most of the time, as well as difficult in that it always involves more work for teachers. And a simple decision to use videos in class for the first time, for example, requires an already busy teacher to find a time and place to identify, view, and select suitable materials before class. Change here is super important because it will definitely do not work a teacher that always do the same thing every class. That doesn't work. You have to be changing, you have to make observations, you have to realize what your students need and how they are going to be able to learn. So you have to make different things. You have to make investigation to identify what will actually work. Then, to continue with the change in teacher learning, we have preconditions for change. And these ones are the educational system in which teachers are working actively, promotes change, and also that teachers themselves are ready to and want to change. um, it is important that teachers really want to change, like to be changing, to be creative, to find different ways to make their classes. The genuine change in a teacher knowledge, skills, and attitudes, it is also a long process, in effect career long, and not convenient to and all too often a hard training program.